Okay, so movie games. You've played them, I've played them. I might have even made a video about one. I'm still not sure if that was a movie or not though. Movie games are usually notorious for just being made because a movie just came out, and they need to capitalize on the popularity of it. You can probably already guess why a bunch of movie games are bad. You know, having to speed up development to be around the same time as the movie's release date doesn't always end up working out well. But this isn't a video about a bunch of movie games. I would probably lose my mind if it was. This is a video talking about a movie game that wasn't bad. A movie game that was actually good. Peter Jackson's King Kong, which was released in 2005, and it was also released on 7 different consoles. How the hell? Okay, movie games are usually released on multiple consoles, right? More consoles means more people who consider playing the game, and yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But 7 consoles? If you really want to count the PC version as another console release, that makes it 8. And if you, for some reason, really want to count the phone game, that's 9. Me personally, PC is PC, I wouldn't count it, and phone is phone. I wouldn't count that either. So to list off the consoles, we have the GBA, the Nintendo Dual Screens, the GameCube, the PlayStation 2, the PSP, not the Go, the Xbox, and the Xbox 360. Those are a lot of consoles, but let's clear some things up. From the GameCube onwards, the games are identical. The only thing different between the versions are the graphics. The base game is the same. The DS, GBA, and I think the PSP are different games. I'm not too sure about the PSP version, but I think due to hardware limitations, a lot of the game is cut out. I mean, out of the handheld consoles, it is the best looking one, and is the closest to the home console versions, but again, a lot of stuff was cut out. I think the versions of the game that might be the most interesting are the GBA and the DS versions. As you probably already know, the DS and the GBA are undoubtedly the weakest consoles here. I think it'll be interesting to see how they bring the gameplay of the home console versions to the handheld devices. Also, if you've watched some of my previous videos, yeah, I know, this is very similar to that SpongeBob video I made. Okay, but hey, listen, this video was planned to come out long before that one. It's just that I'm still trying to get everything set up for a certain other video. Alright, so Peter Jackson's King Kong. This movie came out in 2005, and I haven't watched it in a long time. I was planning to do a short little reaction segment to the movie here, like how I did in my SpongeBob video, but I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to do that, and it's like, well, you did it in the SpongeBob video. I'm not sure if I was even allowed to do that. Also, the movie is almost 3 hours long. Knowing me, I would try and edit the reaction segment to less than 10 minutes, but you know that wouldn't be good. For this reason, I'm going to explain the story the way the game does it. I will say that it is better to watch the movie before playing this game, and I think that goes for any movie game in general, but you'll understand the story of the game well enough by just playing it. Well, let me say this first. For this game, I opted to use a controller. This game is a first-person shooter, and usually I would rather play with a mouse and keyboard. I prefer a controller for a lot of games, but when it comes to FPS, using a mouse is just my preferred way to play. I can be more precise, I can turn faster, and there's just more freedom in how you can move. There is a reason why I'm playing controller though, and I will get to that, but not right now. And last thing I have to say before we get into this game is a bug warning. I hate bugs, insects, and spiders especially, and this game has some of those things just crawling around. I felt that a warning is needed because there's probably a good amount of people out there who dislike bugs as much as I do. And I definitely know the feeling of a random video having some ugly ass insects popping up for zero reason. Starting the game, what the hell? Can I show this? I just talked about not showing the movie, and you know what? I don't care, whatever. Well, the introduction has a man named Carl Denham wanting to depart to a place called Skull Island. He manages to get an actress for the film named Ann Darrow to go along with his crazy plan. And 1, 2, 3, now look at us. If you've watched the movie, I know that was an extremely watered down introduction, but cut me some slack here, okay? The character we play as is Jack Driscoll, a writer and a good friend of Carl Denham. Jack Driscoll was originally the first mate of the SS Venture in the 1933 film, the Venture being the ship that we took to get here. In this movie, the first mate is a person named Ben Hayes, who is this guy right here. He just shot a flare to try and get the attention of a man named Englehorn, the captain of the SS Venture. But yeah, that doesn't look like it's working, so let's just get a move on. One thing you're gonna notice throughout this entire game is that everyone here just wants to get out. Everyone except for Carl Denham. He's excited to make this movie and make a whole lot of money. I can't hate on this guy too much because he's trying to get the content, and also because he's played by Jack Black. But Carl Denham, what are you doing? So we head into this dark cave, and right off the bat, this is a goddamn survival horror game, filled with all types of ugly bugs with way too many legs. Why the hell did you evolve to have 86 fucking legs? What the fuck? Yeah, this is the reason why I'm playing on controller. In a horror game, playing with a controller sucks. You turn around so slowly with the controller, and you're stuck with this sensitivity too. So either I face what's in front of me, or slowly turn away and die. And the other reason I'm playing with a controller is because I suck at aiming with a controller. The last time I legitimately played an FPS game on a controller was when Halo Reach came out, and that was more than a decade ago. I don't even know what I just killed in this cave. I think it was a crab or something. I might have just freaked out for zero reason. But this first part here introduces you to a few mechanics. By pressing the right trigger, you can do a melee attack. When you pick up a weapon, whether that be a gun, bone, or spear, you can now aim in with the left trigger and fire the gun or throw the spear. There's no HUD to count your ammo for you. You have to listen to the people around you or your own character mentioning how much ammo he has left. Speaking of no HUD, there's no crosshair. The CS player in me just died a little. I mean, there actually is, but I'll talk about it later. Around the map, you'll find crates with guns in them. You don't really find ammo piles in this game. It's more like you find a new gun with ammo to replace your current one. In this case, I found a shotgun. You'll also find levers around the map that you need to carry around to open doors. But why are there doors here on Skull Island in the first place? As we travel deeper into Skull Island, we see many things such as barricades and doors, letting us know that we're not the only ones here. Also, this part right here is horrible. This is the stuff of nightmares. A giant millipede that will lunge at you. Not to mention the fact that this is made 10 times worse because I hate bugs and I suck at playing on controller. Gameplay-wise, this part does tell you some things about the people around you. Besides Jack, the guy you're playing as, the only person who can use a gun is Hayes, automatically making him the best support. Carl and Anne, that's really hard to say by the way, those two can throw spears and bones. It seems like they would be useless in battle, because what if they run out of bones and spears to throw? Well, you can run out of spears to throw, they are limited, but you can get infinite bones from these bone piles. But yeah, nothing really beats having another gun around. A little after that, we get separated from Carl and Hayes crossing over this flimsy bridge. Notice how I didn't say Anne's name, because she goes to climb to where you are and we have to defend her over a giant gap. In this next part, we come into contact with some spiders. With the fire, and you gotta help me. Wait, the spider! Oh. The only way to get rid of these guys is to kill some random animal or bug and let the spiders run to its corpse so that they can eat it. You can also stab the animal and throw it somewhere else because they're not always going to be in a convenient spot like this. Okay, well, throughout the game, I was consistently trash when it came to aiming with the spears and bones. So just for a little bit, I want to try and turn on the crosshair to see if it was any better. No, it does not help at all. It actually might make things worse. What? I don't know how the bone ended up going to the bottom right, and I don't know how it ended up going to the bottom left here, but yeah, the crosshair is only good for guns, because the guns are hit scan. We eventually traveled deeper into Skull Island, and ended up coming into contact with the natives. As you can see, they don't like us, and use us as a sacrifice to a giant unnamed gorilla. I'm kidding, you already know who that is, that's King Kong. Carl does come in clutch here, and gets us out of there. He was separated from Hayes, but at least we got Carl here with us. Still trying to get footage no matter what. I can't say I hate what Carl's doing, because that's dedication. But at the same time, Carl, please put the camera away. Giant bugs and whatever the hell this thing is aren't the only things around on this island. There also happens to be dinosaurs. I can't lie to you, this was a pretty tough fight, and I died a lot here. You beat one dinosaur, take out these millipedes, or are they centipedes? Does it fucking matter? They both have a million legs. Why'd I say that? And another dinosaur comes out after that. But this fight did tell me that things other than spiders will also try to eat the corpse of something. Ew! Getting past that door, we finally get a good glimpse of King Kong and decide to film him and then follow him. But Carl constantly filming also gets him captured by this thing. What is this thing? Is it a mutated bat? That's gotta be like COVID-21 or something. What the hell is that? This is also a boss fight where for the majority of the fight, you'll be using spears and bones to take it down. They do give you a shotgun before this, but I ran out of ammo halfway through the fight, so it was just bones for the rest of it. Eventually, we do meet Hayes again, and he also gives us a Tommy gun. The worst gun in the game. Thanks, Hayes. I was just calling you the best support a while ago. This thing is a pea shooter. It just doesn't do any kind of damage. Luckily, damage isn't going to be needed for this next part. Carl and Hayes find a door to open, but they need time to push the levers, and it's our job to distract the giant T-Rex while they're doing that. You actually can't kill this thing, so the Tommy gun doing negative damage isn't really a problem. From here on, it's pretty simple. Fight bugs and dinosaurs to try and get Anne back, but yet again, we are separated from the crew by falling through another bridge. We do manage to find Anne again, and I decided to give the crosshair another chance. What?! Jack tries to protect Anne from afar, but it just isn't enough. There's too many of these things swarming her, and eventually one takes her away. But it is now Kong time. Yeah, you get to play as King Kong. I mean, it is a King Kong game, so I should have expected this. So King Kong can jump onto certain areas to get around, whether it be these roots on the walls or these tree branches. He has a basic punch combo, he can grab, but I didn't really use this until later in the game. And the King Kong Flurry, which I just thought was him going Super Saiyan. I mean, the screen has a yellow filter applied, and every punch is in slow-mo for some reason. You know, I thought it looked a little silly at times, but I guess it's cool. These sections are pretty fun. The survival horror portion of the game really stresses me out, so getting to play this is pretty good. One complaint that I have about these are the camera angles. I mean, they look cool, but I'm also still controlling King Kong, and it can mess with me sometimes. Now, this isn't like Sonic Adventure 2 Mad Space. Oh God, Christ. But me personally, I prefer it when things are consistent. But I have to admit, some of these angles are pretty nice. King Kong takes Ann again, and we're back to Jack. But this time, we find a new gun, the sniper. The sniper is the final gun of the game. So the 4 guns of the game are the pistol, the shotgun, the Tommy gun, and you already know, the sniper. My preferred gun is the pistol, but I will say that the sniper is on the same level. Very good gun to use. The shotgun is only a little below those two for me, and the less I say about the Tommy gun, the better. This next part is something that I have to mention. This is where we have to avoid being stomped on by some brachiosauruses for some fire. I expected this part to be much more annoying than it actually was, but you know what? I found it pretty fun. Especially at the end, where you bring the fire back to burn the bushes in the way, and the T-Rex is right there. That's what we call a thriller. It doesn't stop there though, because we get to meet up with another person who's on the venture, named Jimmy. We get on these makeshift rafts, and now there's 2 T-Rexes chasing after us. Right when things are about to go bad, Kong comes to the rescue to box these guys, and a bunch of other dinosaurs. But one thing leads to another, and Carl ends up losing all the film that he gathered, leaving him completely depressed. It's safe to say that he wants nothing to do with this island anymore, and just wants to get out of here. But we still need to get Ann, with or without him. And we do end up reuniting with her in this part where she takes way too long to open up a door, and Jack has to fend off a T-Rex with some spears and some bones. A little more exploration, and again, we're being chased by a T-Rex, and it seems that all hope is lost. But Ann has a plan. Call King Kong to help us out. You know, it's a good thing he's on our side, or more like Ann's side, because there was really no way we were getting out of that alive. A little side note here, but seeing this whole thing about giant bugs and dinosaurs on this island makes me question, what is the oxygen level here? Like giant bugs and dinosaurs, I mean, those guys were around when the oxygen level was like 30% or something, right? What is wrong with Skull Island? Okay, besides the whole oxygen thing I just talked about, we can now watch how Hayes dies in the worst way possible.
No! Keep your hands off her!
Yeah, that's bad. That's the worst way to go out. With Hayes dead, and Jimmy soon leaving, the only thing left for Jack to do is to get Ann back. I feel like I've been saying that a lot, but I mean, she comes back for like 5 minutes, and then she's gone again, and we still need to get her back. So we do meet up with Ann, and right as we're about to get away from King Kong, this thing pops out of the water, and screams, and it's King Kong boxing time. This was actually a pretty long boss fight. I thought you had to do something else here, but it turns out you just have to keep fighting these things until all of them are dead. Now the objective is to get back safely with Ann, but that doesn't make things much easier. This is Skull Island we're talking about. This place is still crazy, and Ann got caught in a trap. Okay. Good thing that Kong was telling us the entire time to help get her out. King Kong is able to save Ann, but it doesn't end so well. Carl calls for his reinforcements to throw sleeping gas grenades at King Kong, rather than killing him. He might have lost all the footage for his movie, but he just found something better than that. Kong, the 8th wonder of the world. We're now in New York City. King Kong completely chained down and presented as the 8th wonder of the world. Okay, this is a horrible idea. This guy is huge, and you're expecting some chains to hold him down? Yeah, that's about what I expected. King Kong has now been released into the city of New York and is causing chaos. On the plus side, this part is pretty fun. There's no one who can stop Kong right now, except for Ann. Well, not really. Kong grabs Ann and climbs to the top of the Empire State Building for this famous shot, and you know what happens here. King Kong gradually becomes weaker and weaker after fighting off too many planes, and eventually he dies, falling to the ground. Carl takes a look at King Kong one last time and says that it wasn't the airplanes, it was beauty killed the beast, ending Peter Jackson's King Kong. To be 100% honest, this was a pretty good game. I was extremely surprised by this game from the very beginning. It's a good game, but just not for me. You know how I feel about bugs and all. I kinda came into this game expecting one big King Kong versus the world type of game where you just fight dinosaurs all day, but instead I got a survival horror with King Kong sometimes fighting the world. The game's sound design always keeps you on edge, and especially if you hate bugs, you will be scared of just rustling, or worse, the sound of that millipede, centipede, I don't care, that thing's legs moving around. But this one right here, it's a good game. If you like the King Kong movie, give this a try. I'm not gonna say that this is a must-play game or anything, but it's good. It only took me around 5 hours to beat the game, and you know, the movie itself is like 3 hours long, so it doesn't hurt to give the game a chance. Well, that's the home console version of the game. We still have 2 versions to talk about, the DS version and the GBA version. The 2 I was the most curious about. Let's start with the DS version. This version sucks. Yeah, I know, I haven't even talked about the game yet, but this sucks. This game was either rushed beyond belief, or was just a giant joke. I mean, I can't take any of this seriously. In fact, the moment you load up to the first area, look at the loading screen. What is that? I didn't edit that in or anything. That's the loading screen. What the hell is that? Well, the first thing to say about this game is that this is definitely a DS game. This is a first-person shooter where you aim with the stylus and you either move with the D-pad or the face buttons. There are many things that I can say about this control scheme, but I'll just sum it up with this. I don't like it. You use the L and R buttons to shoot, and the rest is just the D-pad and the bottom screen. Seriously, you pick up stuff by double tapping on the bottom screen, you reload on the bottom screen, and there's a feature in this game where you tell a character what to do by double tapping on the bottom screen. Weird thing about the bottom screen though is that, okay, there's really nothing here to look at anyways. It just shows your ammo and this King Kong background. But at some point while recording, the background disappeared. I mean, it doesn't really affect the game in any way, but the background disappeared. How did that even happen? I honestly don't even know how to categorize this game besides survival, FPS, and action. I say action because you get to play as King Kong too, and it's much more fun to do that. But anyways, yeah, I mean, the horror aspect of the home console's survival horror is completely gone. You know, this game is just boring. I think that's the best way to put it. I thought there was gonna be some excitement here when Jack and Ann are stuck on this raft together and have to get away from this T-Rex, but no. It's just a bunch of waiting, shooting the dinosaur if it gets close, the occasional wasp nest, and more waiting. And after that, the game just kind of goes into a cutscene and it's over. You don't even get to play as King Kong in New York. All you get is a cutscene of what happens after he's brought back, and you get the first and last 3D cutscene of the game when he's dying. You can beat this game in less than 3 hours. Honestly, even that's a bit much. This game isn't good. I mean, I still can't tell if this game was extremely rushed or just one giant joke. I recommend avoiding this one. But there's still one more. Oh god, okay. The home console version was good. The DS version was worse than Chaos Wars voice acting. Okay, that's too far. That's too far. And the GBA version isn't bad. Yeah, I like this one. So this game isn't a first-person shooter. I would be shocked if it was because there's not many GBA FPS games in the first place. But you know, after playing the DS version, I'll keep away from another FPS for a long time. Anyways, this game is so much better than the DS version. Granted, that's not very hard to do, but you can tell that more effort was put into this game. I mean, this is just the first glimpse of gameplay, but look at the health bar. It looks like a film strip. That's a detail I can appreciate. In this game, you are in control of Jack, Carl, and Ann. It's more like Jack and Carl, because Ann gets captured by Kong for half the game. Jack has a machete and a gun. Machete for close range, gun for long range. Carl has grenades he can throw. How fitting. And he is strong enough to push objects. And when you eventually get her back, can heal everyone and can scream. You know, she does scream a lot, but like, that's a special move? I mean, who wouldn't be screaming if you saw this guy?
Go, 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 go!
The story here differs ever so slightly when the three go to the island and meet the natives first. They decide it's probably better to try again tomorrow and to get back onto the venture, but they won't be able to do that because the natives got onto the ship and captured Ann. It's a little different, but I mean, Ann is captured anyways. In this game, you are going to be exploring around the island, going into dungeons, and solving puzzles to get certain items. If this sounds just like Zelda, well, it is kinda just Zelda with King Kong characters. I don't think the game is trying to hide it either. There's a crafting function in this game which is really cool, but there's not really many items you can actually craft. I feel like there was some wasted potential here. It's mostly just for crafting items you need to progress through certain areas, but I think the feature is fine. There's a map feature to tell you where you need to go if you ever get lost, but I still managed to get lost in this game. I don't think many people have played this game, but if you did you also get lost in this game? This game really shouldn't take long to beat, but it almost took me around 5 hours to beat it. You can also play as Kong in this game, and it's more akin to a 2D beat 'em up. There's a timer, there's some dinosaurs, beat them before the time runs out. Other than that, I really don't have too much to say about this game. The graphics look fun enough to me, but they're a bit, what's the word? Samey? Everything looks the same. The dungeons look the same, the enemies are all the same, and I think the reason I got lost was because a lot of the outside looks the same. Honestly, I would say that one of the things that this version has over the home console one is how the dungeons are. Now, graphically, they're all the same, but they did take some creative liberties with how these temples are, even if it wasn't completely accurate to the movie. I feel like one of the limitations of movie games is when the game tries too hard to stick to the source material without trying to do anything different. Now, this is probably just my bias speaking because these two games are completely different genres. One is a survival horror, and one is a Zelda clone. I like Zelda more than I like horror. You should have seen it when I played Phasmophobia.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Let's go to New York though, and oh, would you look at that? You get to play as Kong in the big city. Why couldn't you do that in the DS version? It sort of plays like the home console version where you fight through a bunch of people and climb up the Empire State Building. Fend off planes until the timer runs out. Yeah, Beauty killed the Beast, and that's the game right there. All in all, I would have to say that the definitive version of the game is the home console version. It's to be expected, but it really is. The worst version would have to be the DS version, without a doubt. I mean, you didn't need me to tell you that. And the GBA version is solid. Well, if you like Zelda. You know, not a bad movie game we got here. I was pleasantly surprised. This This game, the home version I mean, could have been the absolute worst game in the world, and I wouldn't care because it's a movie game. But this game actually being good is kind of shocking because it's a movie game. If there's something to take away from all of this, sometimes the games that don't seem like something you'd be interested in could be hiding something good. Like a treasure chest, okay? Every game is like a hidden treasure. It's just a matter of finding your treasure in a sea of games. Damn, that was kinda deep. Did I just ruin it by saying that? Maybe I did.